Let's be honest, we've all been there, right? Stuck in some conference room, clicking through a training that just goes on and on. But what if there was a better way? A way to make corporate training something people actually want to do, something that works. Well, today, we're going to unlock the secret to that. And believe it or not, it's probably in your pocket right now.
So why is that? Why do we get that sinking feeling when a mandatory training session pops up on our calendar? It pulls you away from your real work, and frankly, it's usually pretty boring. But this isn't just about being bored. Ineffective training has a real and very expensive impact on businesses.
And here's the bottom line. When people feel like their company isn't investing in their skills, in their growth, they start looking for the exit. That feeling that the training is just pointless or irrelevant, it directly feeds a sense of stagnation. So fixing this isn't just a nice to have, it's an absolute business imperative. This brings us right to what we can call the engagement crisis. To figure out the solution, we first have to get really clear on why the old ways of doing things are just falling so flat in the modern workplace.
It's a fundamental mismatch. On one side, you have traditional training, the day-long workshops, those dense slide decks, the one-size-fits-all content. And on the other side, well, that's the reality for modern employees. Packed schedules, short attention spans, and a real need for information that's actually relevant to their job right now. It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. It just doesn't work.
So, now that we've laid out the problem, let's turn to the solution that's becoming a total game changer. Learning that literally fits right in your pocket. We're talking about mobile learning, or M-learning for short. The idea is so simple, it's brilliant. Just deliver training on the devices we are already glued to all day long. So instead of pulling people away from their jobs, it weaves learning right into their daily digital life. But how does this really get people to engage? I mean, it's not just about shrinking the content to fit a smaller screen. There's a really powerful engine at work here, and it's built on a few key ideas that just perfectly align with how we all live and learn today. These are really the 5 pillars that make it all work. You've got flexibility and convenience, a micro-learning approach, interactive and gamified content, that just-in-time relevance, and of course, those little notifications and nudges that keep us coming back. Let's break each one of these down. First step, flexibility. This is huge. By getting rid of the old rules of a fixed time at a fixed place, mobile learning gives employees control. They can knock out a quick module on their commute, or while waiting for a meeting to start, or even right there on the sales floor. Suddenly, learning is something that fits into their day instead of blowing it up. Next, you have micro-learning, and this is maybe the biggest key to its success. Instead of some overwhelming multi-hour course, you get these short, super focused lessons, 3 to 5 minutes. By breaking down big, complex topics into these little bite-sized chunks, it becomes so much easier for people to actually start and, more importantly, to finish their training. And then there's gamification. This is all about making learning fun. Seriously, by adding elements we know from games like points, badges, and leaderboards, it taps into our natural drive to compete and achieve. That little dopamine hit you get from earning a new badge, it completely transforms training from a chore into a challenge that people actually want to take on. This one is all about immediate relevance. So imagine a retail employee who's about to deal with a tricky customer return. Instead of guessing, they can pull out their phone, watch a quick 2-minute video on the exact policy, and then handle the situation with total confidence. That knowledge sticks because it's immediately useful. It becomes a tool, not just some abstract theory. And finally, notifications and nudges. Look, we're already trained to glance at our phones whenever they buzz. By using simple, gentle reminders, hey, a new lesson is available, or time for your weekly quiz, companies can weave this continuous learning right into an employee's existing habits, all without being annoying. Okay, so all of this sounds great in theory, but does it actually work? Does it deliver real results? You bet it does. Let's look at a couple of real-world examples that show just how powerful this approach can be. First up, the retail giant Walmart. Now, they had a massive challenge. How do you train a huge, spread-out workforce effectively? Their solution was to roll out these short, scenario-based training modules, they called it nano-learning, all through a mobile app. And the results? They were just incredible. Within the very first month, 90% of employees had completed the required mobile training. For a company of that size, a 90% completion rate was totally unheard of with their old classroom methods. I mean, just look at this chart. The difference is night and day.
That 90% from the mobile app absolutely dwarfs the numbers you typically see with traditional training. It's a perfect visual of just how big of a leap in engagement this is.
And hey, it's not just in retail. Let's look at a massive tech company. AT&T needed a way to constantly upskill its huge workforce to keep up with changing technology. So they launched their own comprehensive mobile training platform.
And what happened? A 30% jump in overall training engagement. And this is so important because it proves that mobile learning isn't just some novelty that gets a quick burst of activity and then fades. It actually sustains interest over the long haul, helping to create a culture where people are regularly and voluntarily looking to learn new things.
Okay, so after seeing successes like that, you're probably wondering, how can my organization actually get started? That brings us to our final section, a simple 4-step playbook to get a mobile learning program off the ground.
The most important thing here is don't try to boil the ocean. You gotta start small with focused micro-learning lessons. Then make them genuinely interactive and fun. Use quizzes, short videos, maybe some of those game elements. Crucially, make sure the content is directly relevant to what people do every single day. And finally, treat it like a living thing. Gather feedback, look at the data, and constantly work to make it better.
When you really boil it all down, the takeaway is crystal clear. The most effective way to build a skilled, engaged, and future-proof workforce is to simply put learning right in the palm of their hands. Meet them where they already are. So, we've seen how mobile learning can totally transform corporate training, taking it from a chore people dread to an experience that's engaging, effective, and flexible. Now, the final question is for you. Take a hard look at your own organization. Is your training designed for how your team actually works today, or is it stuck in the past, holding them back? The answer could make all the difference.